Anyways, let's get into some stuff. We've just been kind of blah-blahing a little bit, but that's fine. That's fine. We're going to talk about a little bit of we're going to talk a little bit about propaganda today. Propaganda, climate change, the future of the planet, etc. How propaganda is destroying people's minds is quite effective. Like AOC is propaganda for the Democratic Party and for, everybody going neoliberal. AOC and Bernie Sanders, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry if Jimmy Dore called this a long time ago, and I'm not trying to just repeat Jimmy Dore. I see what he said, and I see it to be true, right? They've come full circle, and now they're just like, this is fine, everything is fine, this is great. Whatever they're saying is okay. They're totally co-signing the neoliberal agenda, but in the meanwhile, trying to, signaling to progressives, we hear you. We hear you. We hear what you want. That sounds, and look, I gotta tell you, I want that too, right? They're just actors. Listen, they're like the doofus record company exec, right? When they sign bands, they're like they try to act like really cool. Hey guys, come on in. You guys, they try to act all hip to try and like be the liaison with the band, like the hipster band and the record company, right? Come on. Can I get you anything? Like, that's what they are. Like AOC, Bernie Sanders, all the squad, they're just, saying all the words that everybody's like, yeah, that we do want that. And they're like, I hear you. But we can't do it, right? Like, it's totally real. And and what I say is the truth. What I'm speaking is the truth. Because if you just see what they're doing and listen to what they're saying and see what how their actions don't line up with their words, it is true. It is happening. It is happening right in front of your face. There's no denying it. There's no like, but, no. Anyways, Oxford study attacks regenerative agriculture. Monsanto ally? There's an Oxford study that attacks regenerative agriculture. And there's plenty of debate around like, is it really good? Is this really good? We should have cows. We should not have cows. We should have permaculture. We should have rewild. We should not plant trees. Like, there's lots of debate around that. The British Empire has schooled the world in colonialism with the resulting devastation in India, Africa, and the Americas. While the colony's revolutionary army was successful in defeating the British redcoats more than 250 years ago, today we face a new kind of threat from the United Kingdom. A University of Oxford think tank, the Food Climate Research Network, well, that sounds very nice, has come out with a report, Grazed and Confused, that likens 100% grass-fed beef to that produced on a 10,000 cow confined animal feedlot operation, like Harris Ranch on Interstate 5 in Central California, calling them basically the same in climate impacts. Think for a moment how absurd that is. One has to wonder why this Oxford think tank is being so deferential to Monsanto and the GMO fertilizer industry, which profits via the planet-killing, health-destroying CAFO model. The Monsanto connection to Oxford University. It seems that Monsanto has deep and enduring connection to the University of Oxford. Monsanto has paid out to UO through various business ventures more than 50 million pounds to the University of Oxford, Monsanto. Again, believe science, especially the science that's been paid for by Monsanto. Believe that science too. Also, Oxford University Press has published a flattering book written by Robert Parlberg full of Monsanto puffery. Food politics, what everyone needs to know. In 2006, The Guardian reported that UO professor and Oxford resident Dr. Richard Droll wrote and testified that Monsanto chemicals did not cause cancer, while he was receiving a consultancy fee of $1,500 a day in the mid-1980s from Monsanto. Then $1,500 a day, that's good money. Then a major chemical company and now better known for its GM crops business. Anyways, Oxford University is advertised a Monsanto Senior Research Fellowship. They fail to mention their university's conflict of interest regarding Monsanto. Why are they silent about Monsanto's role in creating an unhealthy and unethical food system? It's convenient for Monsanto and the giant synthetic fertilizer industry to have this green credentials think tank to discredit the small ranchers who have created a soil health building meat production system that has no use for Monsanto merchandise. Ding, 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 ding. Many of the UK's wealthy families and investors hold vast acreages in Argentina where cancer rates have skyrocketed in towns near the heavy spraying of Monsanto Roundup on GMO soy fields. And there you go. Believe science, except for when the science is being bought and paid for. When the science is absolutely must go in this direction, in the direction of the people in power. The people are telling you what to do and what to buy and what to eat and what to think. Then maybe you want to question that science, maybe. Moving on. Biden's trade policy with India could accelerate global climate catastrophe. This is from Truth Out. The new Biden administration centering of the climate crisis, including through the cabinet appointment of indigenous leader Deb Haaland, the cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline, and the creation of a nationwide climate policy task force, is a significant victory for the environmental movement. At the same time, there are also aspects of Biden's climate plan, his international agenda in particular, which are far from progressive. This has been reflected in the administration's approach to India, the world's third largest greenhouse gas emitter. The developing country, which is rapidly expanding its investment in coal, is expected to double its energy consumption by 2040, making it thus an essential partner in international climate change mitigation. While the partnership between Biden and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to spur India's green transition is likely to prioritize green finance and knowledge transfers, no clear effort has been made to address the well-documented ways in which the Indian state has exploited the green energy label to recklessly expand ecologically hazardous projects to the detriment of marginalized people. Right, so it's green, 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 and equitable, guys, except for when it isn't. Moreover, the Biden administration's recent expression of support for the three contentious agricultural laws passed by the Modi government, which has been met by a 3-month-long protest involving hundreds of millions of farmers, is anathema to a serious vision of global climate justice. So he supports the Modi government, right? And all these farmers in India, there's this major strike going on. He's like, yeah, we're going to support we're going to support the strength at the top. These laws, in short, are expected to have the effect of deepening India's dependence on a fossil fuel-intensive agricultural regime, putting a downward pressure on agricultural prices through market deregulation. He supports deregulating their agricultural market. I mean, wasn't somebody else talking about deregulation? Didn't we have another president that was like, we got to deregulate? It seems that Biden supports this in India. And it's fine maybe not at home, but we'll support it elsewhere. Diminishing other food security initiatives, which are key to the survival of 67% of the country. The reforms come at a time when the country is emerging from its worst economic recession in a century. The White House has also been passive about the farmers' struggle and the ruthless repression of the Modi-led government has wielded against it. In fact, just days after Biden met with the Indian Prime Minister, Delhi police arrested and illegally detained 22-year-old climate activist Disha Ravi, along with 30-year-old Nikita Jacob and 31-year-old Shantanu Maluk, invoking a colonial-era sedition law for helping create and share a toolkit which suggested ideas to support the farmers' protests. Originally tweeted by Greta Thunberg. Aside from Ravi, Jacob, and Maluk, all of whom are members of the Extinction Rebellion chapter in India, the Modi regime has targeted dozens of the farmers' supporters over the preceding months. Many of them have been severely deprived of their rights, and as in the case of the youth labor union leaders, 24-year-old Shiv Kumar and 23-year-old Nodeep Kaur, brutally tortured at the hands of the police. The Biden administration has not said a word about these transgressions. Yeah, and he probably won't. He probably won't, because nothing will fundamentally change, even though we say we're doing big things. We're doing big things, guys. Climate change. I wonder how soon we're going to use the label of I don't know what the label was. Climate change shirker, or what was the label? Climate terrorist or something like that. When are we gonna use that label to go in and like overthrow a country? Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia, we're fine. You killed Khashoggi. We were just gonna say like, hey, maybe that was bad, but otherwise everything is all good. We still want to overthrow Maduro in Venezuela. We're still supporting Juan Guaido as the president in absentia in Venezuela. There's a lot of doublespeak already going on, and much more to come. Just covering a couple things from Twitter. Go Green said this is happening on a regular basis. Imagine the suffering and devastation this will inflict on the marine life. China and the rest of big oil do not give a stuff. Apparently there's another oil spill off of Mauritius. A Chinese flagged fishing vessel with 16 crew members carrying 130 tons of oil has run aground off Mauritius, causing a minor spill, a minister said. And this, somebody said this is like the third one in the last like 2 years. Oh, this is the third one off the coast of Mauritius in the very recent past, yes. Just going to watch a little bit of this.
Carrying 130 tons of oil has run aground off the coast of Mauritius and caused a minor spill, according to a minister on Monday. Sudhir Madhu, whose Blue Economy Ministry oversees maritime affairs, said 310 metres of floating booms had been deployed to control the leak, which he called nothing to be worried about. Drone footage showed dark patches in waters near the Lurong Yuan U-588, and the incident will revive memories of last July, when the bulk carrier ran aground on Sunday with 16 crew members on board. They have been brought to shore and are now being quarantined. Madhu said when the bulk carrier MV Wakashio struck a coral reef and spilled 1,000 tons of fuel into the Indian Ocean. The fishing vessel ran aground on Sunday with 16 crew members on board. They have been brought to shore and are now being quarantined. Madhu said the authorities hoped to pump out all the fuel on board in the next couple of days, before carrying out a salvage operation to remove the ship.
Just a little collateral damage. It's a little collateral damage from industrial civilization. Oopsie. Sorry. We'll clean that up. We're going to try and clean that up. I'm kind of going all over the place here, guys. Sorry. But it's kind of how today's show is going. Daylight savings and all has got me. Hold on. Anyways, I want to look at this thread from Jim Baird. Just something to look at, something to talk about. I don't know. But interesting nonetheless. I am likely unwisely wandering into the fray of the current doomism debate. Let me start by saying I offer no clear solutions, just nuance for consideration. Admit culpability to being doomist at times and blame no one except for the fossil fuel companies. Well, and that's fine. Again, it's really easy to say those fossil fuel companies, those bad old fossil fuel companies. It's super easy. They're the easiest of targets. But there were a lot of other people involved in the damage that fossil fuels have done to our environment. A lot of people. They're politicians, business people, corporate CEOs. Lots of people are just like worked hand in hand to destroy the planet. It wasn't just the fossil fuel companies. And if we put them out of business, if we shut all the fossil fuel companies down today, most of the economy of the planet would collapse, boom, into the ground immediately. Immediately. Because people don't realize how much of everything that we do relies on fossil fuels. So, that's just an easy, it's those fossil fuel companies, they're bad. You gotta widen the scope a lot more than that. You gotta, put the umbrella way out there. There's a lot of things that have to be not just blamed, but, controlled, cornered, tamed, deconstructed. Anyways, fossil fuel companies that have pushed us into the corner where we are anxious, frustrated, and exhausted from the challenges of what at times seems like an intractable problem. My hope is that we can all work and engage respectfully and work towards effective climate action, recognizing, on the one hand, that climate scientists have no doubt dealt with tremendous bullying, harassment, and misinformation, all the while being ignored and downplayed by government after government. I really can't imagine the stress and angst this would engender. We are in a unique situation, potentially on the cusp of great and meaningful climate action with President Biden, or not. When messaging is so terrifying that it extinguishes any sense that climate action will affect change, or is counterfactual, it should definitely be called out. But on the other hand, recognizing there is already substantial doom on the ground. People have died because of climate change. Climate change is killing people now. Poorer countries have been ravaged by climate change as a threat multiplier. This means that non-climate scientist citizens are getting increasingly scared. This is understandable, of course. Models have limits. Humans have been known to succumb to hubris. Just a little bit. And we have seen many recent phenomena that have been worse than predicted or on the high side of models, right? Every day it's worse than predicted. Every day, oh my God. We thought it was going to be this bad. It's this bad. Climate scientists, biologists, and other scientists are all very specialized. They have huge demands on them in academic settings, teaching, publication, community service, media engagement. Others among us clearly need to defer to their expertise, but may also offer something through having the time to be more generalist. Right now, we are clearly facing multiple overlapping crises that may intersect and amplify each other, extending beyond simple physical changes. Brushing off and labeling concerned citizens, parentheses, doomist old white guy, yes, I am one non-scientist, okay, smacks of elitism, creates distrust and breeds conspiracy theories. Why are they trying to silence us? Why are they being so cautious? Maybe because those conspiracy theories are conspiracy fact. There is a conspiracy to downplay climate change. that is very real and super obvious. Like if you just kind of look around. There have been decades of inaction, countless administrations that have made promises and then failed to act. Here in Canada, we are still very much facing this. Justin Trudeau, big progressive, big oil. We are still very much facing this. Activism gets results. This cannot be denied. Non-scientist activists play a critical role in getting things done. So by all means, call out the bad behavior, push every activist to call for urgent action, and educate them on that. But please let us continue to treat each other with respect and work together as best we can against the real problem, fossil fuel companies. Okay, so I just want to read that. I don't know. It was interesting. And he's kind of saying a lot of things all at once. He's kind of all over the place on this. But I get the inspiration for that tweet or that thread. I mean, it's going to, it's definitely going to move beyond the scientific, it's got to move beyond the scientific crowd if we're going to move the needle, period. And it's going to take a lot of citizen activists out there, a lot of concern for climate change types. It's going to take a lot of doomers and realists to really get this message across, because scientists they just haven't done it. They just haven't done it. And I'm not putting all the blame at their feet, but, for whatever reason, as a collective, scientists, politicians, whatever, corporations, media, as a collective have just not pushed the needle nearly enough, nearly as much as it needs to be pushed. So, in essence, I guess I agree with what he's trying to say. I think that there's going to have to be cooperation between scientists and non-scientists, or citizen activists / journalists. And right now, I have to say that, the citizen journalists / activists are getting at least as much traction as climate scientists on moving the needle. Extinction Rebellion is not a bunch of scientists. It's a bunch of people that are concerned about climate change, that are out in the streets. And there are a lot of youth, Greta Thunberg is not a scientist, but she understands the science. So that's the thing, is like, you don't have to be a scientist to understand the science, and you could be a scientist who is willing to not look at the science for political reasons or whatever. You could be misinforming people on the science as a scientist. So that can happen too. Creative Experiments, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, have you seen the cryosphere video NASA made a while ago? It's very enlightening and everyone should see it. Which one? I don't know. Cryosphere video. I mean, I've seen a lot.